Hello viewers and welcome to a brand new episode of Trashtalk on Flying Circus, Chariot of Steel Edition, a series that's all about discussing the good and very bad of the many tanks and tank-like vehicles you can find in the Chariot of Steel expansion for Flying Circus. In today's episode, Wandelburg Ausf I and Rammbock Ausf II. Let's start with the Wandelburg. Year introduced, 1593, served with Gotha Empire, engine, 2 Bertha F1466L, strengths, tough as a castle, weaknesses, mobile as a castle. The project to build the first armored attack vehicle in the Gotha Empire spanned nearly 3 decades, largely considered a low priority during the war with the UWF. The fierce fighting against the Macchi Republic suddenly accelerated the project, which went from concept sketch to deployment in 6 short months. This development was accompanied by intense secrecy. The project was codenamed Wandering Castle, which gave the impression it was a Leviathan building enterprise. Used for the first time in the Battle of Regina in 1593, the Type 1 reflects the idea that the tank ought to be a sort of mobile form of the concrete pillboxes coming into use at the time. Though suffering frequent breakdowns, plagued with difficulties getting its main gun on target, and very vulnerable in the mountains, it was successful enough that it soon became the most produced tank of the war. After the first 6 months, the official name of the vehicle was changed from its codename to Self-Propelled Assault Vehicle Type 1, known by the acronym I ain't spelling this shit Ausf I. This development was ignored by everyone outside of official communications. Inspired by the A7V tank made by Germany, the Wandelburg is as stupid as the damn thing. It has absolutely no mobility, torque as bad as that of ordinary car, so it can't even cross obstacle well, handling is crap, and it's hot and loud as hell inside, giving your crew too stress just driving the damn thing. However, it has incredibly thick armor at its front and side, but very vulnerable at its rear, has a very high integrity. The crew will almost never be suppressed by gunfire with 5 safety. The engine reliability is fine, I guess, though it could use more fuel. At least it's somewhat affordable with decent upkeep cost. The Wandelburg is certainly good at one thing, being tough as nail, with 30 integrity. The only thing that can set it on fire with the first shot reliably is a recoilless cannon to its rear, and heavy field cannon in any direction, and not many things can survive a shot from a heavy field cannon anyway. Against everything else, you can basically laugh them off unless they are in your rear, which even ordinary rifle can potentially penetrate, let alone a PMG or anti-tank rifle. Most commonly, you will probably be battered by field gun the most in tank combat, which has AP4 for its AP shell, so it can go through your armor occasionally, but unless you pick fuel leak on your own tank, you will never get blown up by one. Another thing you need to worry about is disposable rockets, which also has AP4. One won't pose much threat to you, but enough rockets in a squad will turn your tank into scraps. But considering how tough the tank is, I won't even bet on that destroying you. Instead, what will probably happen is your crew getting cut down by shrapnel before the tank is destroyed, so you most definitely need one of these for everyone to keep your crew alive. Anyway, enough about armor, let's talk armaments. The Wandelburg has a field gun at the front that can only aim forward, and 6 water-cooled machine guns, 2 each on left, right, and rear. While the main gun can take care of most tank even frontally, the fact that it can only aim in a single arc plus its terrible handling means that you are god-awful in tank battle. So you probably do not want to recklessly charge forward in a tank that can only go 20 km per hour. However, you do inflict tank terror on most tanks due to your thick armor and big gun, so that can be useful in a way. Against infantry, the WMG serves as great deterrent. Each can pump out 4 hits of 2 damage every round. If you aren't at risk of being flanked, you can probably park in front of a squad in cover with your side on and just keep firing bullets at them until they give up. But considering if you get flanked, you will be dead, best just use high explosive shell to pummel infantry in front of you and use the WMG in case any idiots get too close to you. Your rear also isn't the only thing you should be wary about either, because with I have the high ground quirk, the top armor use rear armor value, meaning if someone got on the tank, they can actually stand a chance to shoot the crew to death with a rifle, or it could be far worse. So yeah, get someone on the machine guns or your crew will die. However, this can be nullified if you get gas filter upgrade with late model quirk, but this will cost 7 thaler, and, oh hey, guess who can get this thing for free? A number of upgrades will be very helpful to your tank too, like a steering trailer to increase your torque, and dozer blade to clear off mines, obstacle, and even create cover. Both needs the vehicle to move at a maximum speed of 2 to work, and, well, guess how fast this thing can go. And in case you don't think this thing has enough guns, you have 2 hatches to put pintle mounted guns on. though considering one of the positions with the hatch is the driver, this might not be a good idea. Also, this tank has a maximum crew capacity of 11, which means one way or another, you will be leaving one space empty because you can only have 9 crew plus yourself. Personally, I suggest that you take 3 MG crew out and leave just 3, if you ever face a situation where you have to fire machine guns in 3 directions, you have a bigger problem than not enough crew. You also definitely want a mechanic because this tank will be taking a lot of damage no matter what. As for the modifications, there's Urban Warfare Kit to replace the field cannon with Land Flammenwerfer, with Werflammen on land. This actually makes the tank even cheaper, but not only does it massively reduce your effective firing range, this also inflicts infamy, so not a good thing to use for players. There's also the transport type, which removes both the field gun and rear machine guns along with the crew to give space for 8 passengers. It's basically a tough and slow squad carrier with machine guns on the side now. If you are fighting against a Wandelburg, well, I just listed out every single possible weakness of this thing already, just flank it and you will do fine. Also, one last thing, with the amount of fuel this thing can carry, you probably want a fuel truck. Now, let's move on to the Rammbock Ausf II. Year introduced, 1597, served with, Gotha Empire, engine, 2 Bertha F1466L, strengths, phenomenal offensive power, weaknesses, itty-bitty transmission. The Wandelburg was wildly successful and saw widespread production and deployment, but it was obvious from its first use that it had serious deficiencies. Before the first armored operation was concluded, plans for successors were in progress. The I'm not spelling this again Ausf II, nicknamed the Battering Ram by its production team, is very clearly a refinement rather than a revolution, while retaining the same track system, transmission, engine, and primary weapon. What is immediately obvious is that the machine is over a metre shorter, with improved flared armor, a smaller crew, and better all-terrain capability. The Rammbock has half as many machine guns, relying primarily on a gun located in a casemate on the right-hand side of the cupola, a single gun replaced a side escape hatch on the left to cover its blind spot, and another in an isolated position at the rear behind the engine. The Rammbock is rarely seen today, most often in the hands of Goth warbands, though it is not uncommon for examples to be scavenged by expeditions into cities. The most feared is the late production and much overloaded 2B hammer, which sacrificed a great deal to mount a captured Macchi 75mm naval cannon and 3 additional tons of armor. The Rammbock is an improved version of the Wandelburg and it clearly showed, same speed and handling, but slightly better torque, and getting flanked to the rear is now not an instant death, also more fuel, but slightly less integrity. Also unfortunately showed its improvement in the price tag. This thing has 5 armor at the front. It can inflict tank terror to even more tanks than the Wandelburg and can only be somewhat reliably penetrated through the front via a heavy field cannon, while this means its side is more vulnerable to field cannon and even possibly infantry support cannon. Now, this is absolutely worth it, and the Rammbock will need it because it has the battering ram quirk, which double your ram damage. Even if only the Rammbock is moving, that's 2d10 times 2 amount of damage, and in a head-to-head collision, the Rammbock might actually explode a whole damn tank and go right through it, though it might be on fire afterward. Just remember that you can actually just choose to ram in a tank battle, and ram damage is reduced by your armor, and in case the thing you rammed into is somehow not dead, you probably have done enough damage to immobilize it completely, which means it's time for a rear shot. Just remember to give your crew helmets so they don't take injury in a crash, and as if it's not bad enough, there's a line breaker mastery to make you ram even harder. The Rammbock also has gas filter for free, so traveling in the dead cities or getting tear gassed is not a problem. Much like the Wandelburg, the Rammbock has a field cannon in front that can only aim forward, along with only 3 water-cooled machine guns, 1 aiming left, 1 aiming rear, and 1 in a turret that can turn in 3 directions, forward, right, and backward. That 1 machine gun is probably the most important of the 3 you get. This also means that the Rammbock needs far less crew, only 6 at max, a not bank-breaking amount of crew. It even still has a mechanic position. You might still need it as this thing will be taking a lot of small cut damage. Also, 3 hatches, and not 1 for a driver this time, so if you want 3 more pintle mounted guns, you can get that without compromising mobility. As for the modifications, there's the 2B hammer upgrade which replaces the field cannon with a heavy field cannon, as well as increasing side armor to 4, but makes the engine far less reliable, worsens its torque, loses the mechanic position, and costs more in upkeep too. Essentially, this just gives the Rammbock a bigger gun, but at what cost? Then there's the Lightning Bringer, which replaces all weapons with a lightning hammer, as well as reducing the crew to 3, The lightning hammer is basically a lost tech weapon that shoot lightning to everything within close range, which includes other tanks, exposed infantry, trees, telegraph poles, and also churches. Oddly specific, also absolutely destroy clockworks. It has AP8, so literally nothing can withstand it, but also good luck finding one. When fighting against a Rammbock, it's definitely not a good idea to get close to it, as it can easily ram most thing to hell. However, its weakness is just the same as the Wandelburg and many other tanks. It's incredibly slow. Just flank it. Attack from the top is going to be less effective however, but it can still work if you have something with AP4, like disposable rocket. And that's basically it on these two tanks, the slow as a molass but tough as nail Wandelburg, and the moving battering ram fortress that is the Rammbock. That's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.